Before I start, a meetup in London called Local First should start in the pub. Okay, now that I've lowered everyone's expectations. My name is Sunil. I work at a place called PartyKit. I work there with my friends Yanni and Sylvia. They're right there. As you know, doing a startup with your friends is the perfect thing. Nothing ever goes wrong. It's going to go great for all of us. Every single talk of mine is now called Everything's Better with Friends. It's the tagline of the company. It's the tagline of how we operate. We're super friendly. You should talk to us. But PartyKit is a platform for deploying multiplayer, collaborative, real-time applications. I use these three words because those different VCs react differently to each one of them. Multiplayer is great. The thesis of the company is that the future of the internet is multiplayer. And it's a very easy bet to make because it has always been the original promise of the internet. It brings people closer together. It started with 4 computers in colleges, and now it's everywhere, right? And there's this breadth of experiences that you can take and either add multiplayer to it or design from the bottom up. There are shared drawing experiences. Steel Draw is a very popular choice with people right now. It's a London startup. You can use live share with VS Code and share a link with someone, and immediately you're pairing even if you're not in the same room. Or like games are like the original multiplayer thing. That's a screenshot of Transport Tycoon, just to let you know how old I am, despite the great skin. The usual model for building something like multiplayer, when you want to like mentally model it, software architecture, is there's some kind of shared entity. It can be a document. It can be a game session. It can be a song. I want to do collaborative music at some point. And multiple people connect to it, and they effectively see the same thing. They can edit. Everyone sees the same thing. Nice thing about doing meetups like this is you all are engineers, so I don't have to go like too simple, but I'll try to like really speed through an explanation. The problem is that there are people all over the world, right? And what you do is your first, especially when you're like developing locally, is you deploy your application like to one server. And then thousands of it hit it and the server falls over. It doesn't really scale. So what you then do is you end up having like clusters of servers across the planet, US East 1, this, that, all over the place. And it turns out even that's not enough. You need some kind of state management to like actually synchronize these people to different sessions, different drawings, different things. So what you do is you deploy Redis or a Postgres or something like that in one place. And it faces the same problem. Everyone connects to it, it falls over. So then you deploy all these clusters across the planet. And because everyone's in different parts of the world, you can't really connect, you can't really figure out, you cannot predict which server every user is connecting to. They can connect to different ones here, there, what have you. And then to like solve it, what you end up doing is you establish this backbone amongst all your servers, which connects all the data that's flowing through the thing, right? And even you do the same thing like for your Redis instances and stuff. Like you end up building this network for doing message passing and so on. For the teenager who's building a game on the weekend, this suddenly becomes a multi-million-dollar project just to ship their app, just so that they don't like, just so that it performs well. It's not a mistake that in the last 15 years, WebSockets landed in Chrome in like 2009. It's not a mistake that only multi-billion, trillion-dollar companies can build a Google Docs, a Figma, or AAA games. It's operationally super expensive. You have to hire people to maintain it, all that. Which really sucks, right? Because this isn't the model that we started with. What we really want, oh, well, I'll get to that. Well, this is where PartyKit enters. PartyKit is an open source platform for real-time infrastructure. Yeah. Like I said, I built it with my friends. These are the headshots we took because we wanted to announce funding. We have money in the bank in 2023. Yeah. And this is our website. If you go there right now, by the way, I know that the internet is shitty unless you signed up for a Sky account here. So for those who did, like amazing for you. If you go to partykit.io right now, you will probably see a bunch of cursors like going on. This is a recorded video, but it's nice. We attach like little flags that show people coming from different countries. I have like 4 more demos. Don't get me wrong. Like this is just like, this is on the website. It's really fun. At points, like it goes crazy. Everyone shows up. It scales really well. What we do is we take this model, this idea that there for a given ID, there's a document, it's this thing, and we guarantee that users who want to connect to that connect to not just the same machine somewhere, but literally the same process that's running like a little JavaScript that synchronizes these things. It makes the programming model dramatically simpler, and I'll show you what it looks like. and it scales across the planet, and you don't have to worry about being bankrupted if your game goes viral. Like it uses the magic of edge computing. It runs Cloudflare in the background, and it builds a model like this. And the code for doing something like this is really simple. You write, hey, here's a class server. There should be an export default there. So you write a file that exports this as a default, and you just write code. What happens anytime a WebSocket connects to it? We also respond to regular request responses. You can write on request. And what happens when you send a message to this thing? So you can write a line of code which says, hey, for every message that comes in, just broadcast to literally every other person who's connected to this room so far. Old hands might know that that line of code, this.party.broadcast, used to be a very hard problem. That's what you would use the Redis for. That's what you would do a bunch of things. But because of PartyKit's technology, because it's running in the same process, that .broadcast is a for loop, by the way. We just implemented a for loop that just goes through all connections that are connected in an array and says, hey, here's the message for it. And it's great. We just love writing code like this. Like anyone sees this and they're like, yeah, okay, fine, I get it. We can write it. What's nice about stuff like PartyKit is it's a developer platform. So you're not, you don't have to use a particular service, some CRDT in the cloud, etc. You can use YJS. You can use something like State Machines by Xstate, the Stately company. Maybe even Redux, a little JavaScript object where last write wins, or connect to other interesting services like, well, DXOS, Torso, Electric SQL. The shout out. It's important because developers want to choose their own trade-offs and they want to make changes to it, and it's open source. And TLDraw, for example, where PartyKit was actually born, when I helped them build out their multiplayer service, they tried a bunch of third-party solutions. They didn't like it, and they implemented their own syncing engine that runs in these little servers. They just didn't find the thing anywhere else. So you need to be able to control the code that runs on these things. And it's nice, you write that little server.ts file, you run it locally, PartyKit dev server.ts. It works great alongside your existing app. Let's say you have a next app that you're deployed on Vercel, keep doing that. Or we can host your static assets and like respond to request responses for you. You develop it locally, and then you say, hey, deploy server.ts, and in roughly 5-6 seconds, it's available like across the planet. I say 5-6, I don't know the number. I assume it's some number like that. But what I know is every time I deploy it and tweet it, people immediately get onto it from everywhere in the world, which is nice. Because JavaScript developers are so entitled, everything freaking free. I don't usually say freaking, but I am censoring myself for this meetup. There are a number of other features that you expect from any other developer platform. There are like previews, which we need to implement nicely. But you want to deploy in a GitHub PR before even you land the code. It deploys a little staging environment. You can test it. Once you're happy with it, you land it, it goes to production. Secret management for database secret keys, etc. Log management, like this thing is running, and this thing could be running in thousands of machines across the world. We want to be able to collate all the logs and show it in your terminal or send it over to some kind of observability solution. It's cross-platform. That's the nice thing about using standards. Someone's like, hey, does it work with iOS? I'm like, yeah, just use a WebSocket, like it just works. Sure, cross-platform. There's a $3,500 headset there. I'm hoping to make money of people building on PartyKit on top of it. Other integrations, like we're like working with a number of partners to say, hey, it works with React, it works with this, name your tool, etc. It's just JavaScript. And analytics. Hey, how many people visited the room in the last 24 hours, 7 days, that sort of thing. Okay, features. So you're ready for a demo for the ones who have a good net connection, okay? So this is something built by the team at TLDraw. It's not exactly TLDraw. It's a collaborative drawing, fun little space. If you can get into it, let me know. Like some people raise hands once they get into it, and I'll actually open it up in a tab that I have open, okay? Am I on the Wi-Fi? I am on the Wi-Fi. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see, are you all on it? Yeah, everyone's drawing, woo! One of the problems with having an open drawing space or an input box on the internet is that you need to remove it after 10 seconds or someone is going to say something offensive. I can feel it, it's almost coming. Okay, before it happens, I'm moving away. Okay, cool. What I like about that, and I should have actually put it on a slide, is the PartyKit code for it. The backend code for it is 8 lines of code. It says, hey, this is a YJS document that you should just send all events to and send it back out. I wish I'd included that slide. It's a good slide. But that's how simple it is to build something that scales across the planet. You can add auth, you can do your own thing. Yeah, that's one demo. Okay, so that's demo one that shows how PartyKit works. But because of the audience here, why is it important for local first, right? One of the nice things about local first, offline first, architectures like this where clients are in charge of their data, and they're kind of pliable to different kinds of network architecture. It turns out adding multiplayer to local first apps is like kind of nice, kind of easy if you use PartyKit. Use your other thing as well, but you should be able to use PartyKit. So instead of like talking about here's how you do it, I want to show you 2 demos of 2 popular libraries using PartyKit, okay? So the first one is by someone named James Pierce, ex-Meta. Some folks in the community might know him as the guy who lives in a boat. Like he lives in a boat and writes JavaScript. That's his thing. I don't understand how much Meta was paying him. He's like, I'm in Granada today. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. It's called TinyBase. It's great. It's a little front-end kind of, library for managing state. And you all want to get into this one? So again, like if you don't want to, it's fine. This is like a simple to-do. Is it a to-do app? It's something. We'll see. I do have the tab open. So TinyBase otherwise is a local first app that can use different kinds of persisters. It can do peer-to-peer. It can connect to S3, whatever. And his last release, he released a PartyKit connector, which is like, hey, like what happens if you do it with PartyKit? So I see people are hitting increment counter. You can add pets also, I think. Oh, it's already being added. Okay, that's like a lot over there. And it's super fast, if you can tell, by the way. Like, yeah, that counter is like jumping. Should I like zoom in so you'll see? Yeah, like everyone's really going for it, huh? I assume people on the Zoom are also hitting it. Okay. Thankfully, there's no open input field there. The code for that is, again, another 4 or 5 lines of code. Take an existing TinyBase app, add this little persistor, and suddenly it's multiplayer. Super nice. Another demo is a collaboration that we just did literally yesterday. I think we announced Fireproof yesterday. And Chris is actually in the audience. Oh, he's right there. Hey. So Fireproof is a new style of building. Well, it's in the local first community, of course. Fireproof storage. What's interesting for me about this use case is a couple of things. One is you write your code like it's local. It's almost synchronous. It is synchronous. And you use like regular React hooks for it. And it uses PartyKit to do multiplayer for it. But because the data is encrypted and hashed, and we can't really read it, PartyKit is kind of like a dumb network layer in this. And that's like really nice for me. We have no interest in your data. But the experience of building a Fireproof app itself is like super nice. I think Fireproof just announced a bunch of other integration, developer experience tools today, just libraries that you can use for it. But you all are interested in the demo. So this is nice. This is a slightly different one. I'll count till 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is a magnetic poetry app where this is like basically fridge magnets. And you can make little poems with it. I assume none of you are going to be able to make a single sentence. But I love that you can take like regular apps and make it multiplayer for something that used to be like a multi-billion-dollar, like get 3 product managers in a room kind of thing. Like it's kind of cool to be able to do this like on a weekend now. Like I wish it was harder to use PartyKit, because then you'd feel like a sense of satisfaction. But now you're like, it's like copy paste this code and get it to work. This is the magnetic poetry app. So that's why you should use PartyKit for your next local first app, especially if you want to do local first collaborate. If you want to add collaboration to your app, which I assume all of you do. You have friends, right? Everyone's here on a Wednesday night. Actually, fair enough. So that's why I feel like PartyKit can be a good citizen. Well, we also don't have a billing page just yet, so it's free. So that's also why you should use it. We're fixing that. We don't know yet if people want to give us money, but we should give them the option to do so. And that's why I think like PartyKit can be a good citizen in this. Instead of having to worry about setting up this entire cluster of stuff just to give your users a great multiplayer collaborative experience, just use PartyKit, write some JavaScript, use open source off the shelf and do it. I also promised that I would, some things that are in the works. In fact, we have actually been blogging about this. I would have shown, if this was an AI meetup, I would have shown demos of that. But of course, the DXOS guy like totally stood me up, showed a much better demo right now, which is that because this thing is just code that you can wire things up to, you can actually wire up LLMs to it. You can build experiences slightly different from the chat GPT style request response stuff and have them be active agents. PartyKit is real time, PartyKit is long, it gives you long running processes, things that can run not just for a few minutes, but for hours, days, and years. These rooms actually shut down when there's no activity in it, which makes it cheap. Don't tell my investors. I keep telling people it's cheap. But it means that you can wire up these things that do things on your behalf, that you can reach out to it. You can say something like, hey, wake me up at 8 p.m. I guess, whatever. Like you can set an alarm, it shuts down, and at 8 p.m. it'll wake up and say, give you a little thing to this thing. So you can wire up LLMs in this fashion, or you can do it in a way that folks who use Copilot might be really familiar with right now, which is to use it as an augmenting tool to augment human intelligence and actions. I like this. You can actually do this right now with VS Code without PartyKit by activating Copilot and LiveShare. And then suddenly there are 5 superhumans who are coding together. It's kind of a magical experience. I like it. Well, I like Copilot. I don't write very good code otherwise. Cool. The thing I wanted to talk about here, another thing I wanted to share today was something new we've been working on. It's nothing to do with local first, really. And I've been on Twitter, I've been saying, oh, this is the new thing, this is the new thing. But really, it's not the new thing. It's really an old thing. So I checked, and how many of you all remember Socket.io? Have you all used Socket.io? Like everyone, right? Like the OG WebSocket library to use, a whole bunch of cool features like, oh, it like falls back to polling if WebSockets aren't available, all that jazz. What's funny for me is the CEO of Vercel, Guillermo Roche, created Socket.io, but Vercel doesn't have a WebSocket thing right now, simply because it turns out the library is half the challenge. The infrastructure is way bigger than half, actually. It's expensive, only if you're like in a big company that can set up clusters and all. So today, I'm happy to announce Party.io. We actually got Socket.io working on PartyKit. And it takes all the features of PartyKit, scales horizontally across the planet, sets up these little synchronization points. And it works with existing Socket.io apps. Like you can just replace your backend with Party.io, and it works. That npm install command doesn't work right now, by the way. We still have to write like docs and fix like type signatures. It turns out I'm stupid at TypeScript as well. I'm going to make Yanni fix that. So Party.io is a new Socket.io backend. And you all want to, the code is nice. Like I said, like this is very familiar to Socket.io developers. In fact, this is the Socket.io example that you'd be import create server from Party.io, and you would get a little IO instance that you can do stuff with. Oh yeah, you can jump into a demo. It's the, why I like this demo is I took the existing Socket.io chat demo that's written in jQuery. So my nerd cred is, well, suddenly I feel a lot older than everyone else here right now. If you're all in it, you can get into it, and I assume I should be able to. Well, let's see what you all are saying, I guess. Oh, everyone's joining. Hello. Yeah, it just works. For terrible internet, this is actually something offensive. Okay, fine. It even shows like typing indicators, people chatting, yada, yada. Jay Racing is boss. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Oh, he'd be so proud of me right now. Yeah, okay, so this is running jQuery. I actually installed jQuery with NPM for this demo. It's just something so it feels like 2 different eras. Yeah. So one of the problems with Socket.io, like I mentioned, is that it still assumes an infrastructure where you've set up clusters of servers, and it does this message passing thing, and it uses Redis PubSub to broadcast to all connected people. But what we really want is to use PartyKit's special, hey, like for a chat session, use a particular room that you can spin up very close to you. Like in London, we get like 10 millisecond latency. For comparison, to refresh a cache in a service worker, it's like between 5 to 15 millisecond. Like it's almost faster. Well, it is sometimes faster than that. So what we've done is we've taken the Socket, in the Socket.io client, if you pass a magical query which says party ID some room, and it can be a random ID for the chat session that you spit up, it'll actually find the nearest synchronization point for you, and everyone will connect to it. So we're actually better than Socket.io. I'm sorry, Guillermo. Yeah, it takes this kind of architecture and it converts it back to the architecture that is familiar with PartyKit people. So Party.io is fully type safe. You can write a whole bunch of types. It scales across the planet, fully API compatible with existing Socket.io applications and so on. One thing that we want to build is we want to take Socket.io's existing admin UI, which shows you, oh, here are the number of clients that are connected at a point. These are the messages that are going through. Working on getting this working as well. I just put a screenshot up so that it implies that I already have it working. We don't. But yeah, so yeah, it's type safe, fully API compatible, and it's launching this month. You will be able to use it hopefully within 12 days, before the end of the month, before midnight of the 30th of this month. Maybe. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. It means that like PartyKit started with oh, this might be a good idea, but really like it feels like the future of real time. There are these new primitives that are being provided by edge computing platforms that we are ready to take advantage of for every developer on the planet. That's my talk. That's all I had to say. My name is Sunil. You can find me on Twitter, PartyKit account. Please follow us. I guess I get social validation from that thing, and partykit.io for instructions for starting a project right now. Awesome. Thank you. Should I open up questions?
I think we've got time for a few questions. So
Hi, does PartyKit help me make friends in the first place?
First of all, you get to be friends with us, and we're amazing. The second is it's 2023, so you can spin up an LLM to be a friend for you. Don't do that. But what you should do is come to our Discord, which is the friendliest Discord on the planet right now. Not even joking. Everyone's super nice. We kick out people who aren't. I take the blame for that. But 100%, PartyKit helps you make friends, I guess.
I can confirm Discord's great because I've been in there
so
far lurking, but also people building really cool stuff.
That's right.
What's your favorite thing that someone's built? And second follow up, has anyone built anything that you're like, oh wow, didn't even consider that as a use case? That's always a fun moment.
So Matt Webb, we actually work with Matt Webb as our inventor in residence right now. We went and met him, and he was looking like, hey, I want to do product invention. And we like, hey, do you want to just come see what you can do with PartyKit? A whole bunch of the LLM explorations that we have came from that. He's built stuff that, like, we spin up TL. That would have been a cooler talk for some of you. Anyway, you can spin up TL Draw, and you can say, hey, can I spin up a little bot that helps me actually draw stuff? Like, hey, like, can you draw me a house? Can you draw me this? So that's that. We originally weren't really going to go after like the gaming market, but people have started building really fun games. My all-time favorite project so far, though, is it over.evacalio.partykit.dev? If you can get into it right now, it's one button that everybody can click. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, there are 3 live bots that are doing DVD screensaver bounces. And yeah, so every time you click the button, it either moves into DVD screensaver, or if you click it again, it just falls down like a dead cat bounce. This is so far my favorite thing people have built.
Can you tell them the origin of the cursor? It's a guy, it's a random guy.
We don't even know who this guy is, by the way. He's set up 3 Replit machines that just pipe in messages to the WebSocket endpoint that we have right here that's just 24 hours long. We're like, is this going to bankrupt us? And we're like, no, wait, we're cheap. Yeah, it's fine. Like, we'll just keep it going.
He's sending 20 FPS per cursor.
Exactly.
So in 24 hours, he's sending 6 million WebSocket messages to this cursor.
Just to keep this going. It's amazing. Other stuff I like is the watering hole. So this is another thing Matt Webb did. So it's a little dark right now, but this is a watering hole in the middle of the Serengeti, I want to say. You see giraffes and zebras and ostriches keep showing up here, and there's a little live chat. There are 35 people here watching nothing right now, by the way. It's a little counter. By the way, I love this little counter. It's a little web component you can drop on your page and have like a live thing. Another thing I really like is, any of you all know who Kent C. Dodds is? Never heard of that guy, right? He just announced his live, his workshop app course today, right? It's very cool. It's called Epic Web, which is, honestly, I respect the name. And if you actually go into it, it shows you how, there's no one using this right now? Oh, no, there are a lot of people using it right now. This is actually powered by PartyKit, showing you how many people are using the app. So we've been like tweeting about this like every day. Every day somebody shows up and like has something fun that they're building, and it's going all over the place. Like I was like, oh, you should have built your Google Docs thing with this, but no, like people are going nuts with it because they're trying to rethink like the last 20 years of UI and like what happens if you have 2 people on the thing. It's nice. Any other questions?
Hi, yeah, if I make my party and it becomes very successful and I have thousands of people in it, how much is that going to cost? Do you have any pricing?
Usually very little. We are announcing pricing this month, maybe, hopefully, if I'm not distracted by giving talks at meetups. But The things that we want to make sure is that there's a generous free plan and that you're able to set up soft and hard limits. So, hey, like if it hits like $15, send me an email, $20, shut it down. We don't want people to go broke because then they'll like scream at us on social media. So we're like, hey, like you should just set this. That's the rough idea right now. That being said, if you work in a Fortune 100 company, please ask them to offer me like a 6-digit number and we'll give it to you for free. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Sam, for having me over.
Thank you.